Namaste and welcome. Thank you for joining us, beloveds. I know it's late from some of you, actually in Europe. And we're blessed to have every being that comes with us on this journey. It's like when we start out, you don't have any idea. Well, we don't know anything. We just think we knew. But you know, how important the mighty they're just essential. There just isn't a faster way than with mighties. Like, I've been talking to Jesus now, you know, you can go live in a cave, but it won't be as fast. Because it's obvious, if we look as the light of divine being, we can see that the light's here. There's no way to escape the light, as we've talked about. It's just here. And Jesus is just offering a fast way. He's like, why would we just take some rickety old model when we can have like the rocket? You know, and several beings have mentioned about how this is the rocket ship. This is the rocket ship for those that really want it fast. The ego's going to complain about that for sure and kind of whinge, especially in chapter 20. Because it's so direct, you know, it's like he distilled it down. Here's what you need to look at. So we're going to direct experience. That's what he's promising. That's the only person. Someone said, well, what do you need this for? Well, I obviously needed it because I didn't see how many of these desires I was hiding behind. It was for me to have that conversation and develop a relationship. And it continues to be the way to develop the relationship, the only relationship, which is the holy relationship. You know, even the word enlightenment is like a concept. I'm going to be, the first one who says I'm going to be enlightened is the I itself, which is the denial itself. You can see in the light of divine being, the light's not looking for enlightenment. It's not even having a title to it. Does it have a title, the light of divine being? Does the holy instant have a title? Well, Jesus gave it one because we're just used to giving things titles. So he's supporting us, and, you know, we label things. So he's even using labeling to undo labeling. But the light doesn't have a form filled out. I've got an application for enlightenment. So we just call this, I love this, Cease-to-denyment. We have a book of Cease-to-denyment. That's what the Course in Miracles is. It's a cease to deny that what's already here. And it is simple. But in the play of consciousness, the play of consciousness is going to play all these ways. Here's the book of all the ways consciousness plays to have a big fat no to what it already is. That's very humbling. So like we go a full circle all the way around to find out, wait a minute, you mean I didn't have to do all this stuff? No, that's what he means. I need to do nothing. It's ceasing to do something, which is cease to deny it. Cease-to-denyment. Honesty of God is cease-to-denyment. That's our function. I'm talking to him now about, well, okay, Jesus, what do I need to look at here? So much love comes when we just touch base. That's the ground of being. That willingness. I would getting our little trikes, our little tricycles. Okay, I don't know anything, Jesus. Show me from the ground up. And yesterday we were talking about what is the peace of God. I feel like he even has to show us that. He says yes, because we in the play of consciousness, not a person, but the play of consciousness is to try to label peace, to make peace something that can never be realized in the future. I'll have peace when I'll have peace. There's an I involved in it. See that in the light of divine being, is there an I in there? Try to find that. I love that he's broken it down to two things, because I'd hear various beings talk, and because consciousness is just information. It's information overload. Information distraction is what it is. So what we've actually done is we crawl up in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and start picking all kinds of different apples off of there to eat. And Jesus is saying, come down out of that tree. That's what. And so we need, because of the plethora of information, and then the ego plays like, I can have this group of information and be better off than that little group of information and those thoughts here. And if I can compare those thoughts and put them together, and I can have a better set of thoughts, then I'll have peace. And you just start watching that play, you start watching the mind and watching the wrong mind. It's like you just see that little tree of thought sprout like this. And all of a sudden you congeal like an object. Like I say, you feel like Jello. It's like, no, I don't want to be infinite nothingness. I want to be somethingness, so I can just be tossed around, as I said, by the tide, like a piece of driftwood to be pounded on the beach, pounding. And then you can ask Jesus, do I like that experience? And he'll tell you, yes, you do. You love being pounded by consciousness. You made it. We made all of consciousness so we could be pounded by it and have an experience of being beat up. And that's really the honesty that has to come. So how is the peace of God retained once it ceased to deny it? Cease-to-denyment. And see, really, for those going deep on chapter 20, where he's showing you, okay, here's the denial, and you have a talk with him and he'll show it to you. And I really want this. And you release that. Oh, I really want this. How's it? He takes down to the death wish for that fragment. Let me show you where you think that peace and love can be found in this fragment. That's why it remains. That's why that's where we don't want to accept a miracle, where we believe that peace can be found in that particular desire. Why am I always pissed off at my brother? I thought I forgive, and I thought I forgave again, and I thought I forgave about 100,000 times, because it feels because the desire for the experience is not released to a miracle. The wanting of the no to God is still buried in the catacombs, and we believe that there's heaven in it. Those catacombs is gold down there. It's heaven gold. And that peace can be found in the hell in the catacombs. So he's got to help us go down there and look at each one of those things in the catacombs. Someone said, is there another way? Yeah, there's just admitting lights here, and ta-da, that's it. We're done. Do we have the power to do that? You can ask them. Yes, we do. What's the probability? I'm asking them, not high. Because consciousness loves the little fiefdom play. It likes to play the Las Vegas slot of the ego, that slot machine. Hoping, boy, one of these times, peace and joy is going to come through the play of wrong-mindedness. I just know it. I'm just going to pull that slot one more time, Jesus. So how is it retained? Once it's found, returning anger in whatever form will drop the heavy curtain once again. The veil. The tiniest twitch Cease to twitchness. Cease to twitch. That's our function. War, again, accepted is the one reality. We have to see how much we really relish war. We are looking at set 20, what is the peace of God? And I'm down at the bottom here. It's for Dyra because she's doing the translation, but really what's most helpful is the deep contemplation. Rather than the looking at the text, it's really just let the words like resonate through you. And then listening to Jesus, like for each line, and just go, Jesus, tell me about that line, or let me see in my heart, is that line true? It's this deep contemplation he's offering. He's saying, be with me in deep contemplation and let me tell you everything you need to know about each one of these. Jesus, let's just ask him, Jesus, do we have a desire? Is there a desire in consciousness to accept war as reality and hear it? Do I relish war as reality? This is worth looking at. Is there a desire to experience war as reality? He said, unless you're completely peaceful 24/7, that is your desire. Okay. Because nothing appears without our desire for it. So I ask him, Jesus, does nothing appear without my desire for it? We talked about this last night, the laying down of the sword. Jesus, do I like just falling on my sword all the time? Just fall on it just for the fun of it, just because I can. And as I've said, for some of us, where it's helpful, only where it's helpful. Some of us don't need that because really there's no such thing as a past life. But if there's a belief, there's one. He's not making it wrong. He'll use that. He'll use even the belief in a past life because it's all a dream. It's one big fat no, God, which encapsulates seemingly this life and seemingly other lives, but it's all the same. You can ask them, and it's all simultaneous. But in the play here, it was helpful to look at quote unquote seemingly past lives as just another form of dreaming. You can ask them right now, is past lives, reincarnation, is that real? And here is the answer. See, the light isn't looking around to reincarnate. But in the play of the dream, it seems like sequential dream. That's a trick. You can ask them, Jesus, is the idea of sequential lifetimes a trick within consciousness? And you can hear the yes, or just have a talk with them, the fireside chat. But again, he can use it. He doesn't judge anything. He used it in the case here, as I've said before, to see the relishing of various experiences through that dreaming. The relishing of an experience of a relationship, an unholy relationship, and the idea that of being left, supposedly a soldier, being married to someone in the Civil War who got killed and watching them die. Desired experience. How can you leave me, you bastard? Whatever, those kinds of plays. But those happen in this lifetime too. Other beings will say that happened to me. But the level of the feeling of reality, even in the dream of looking at something like that, and the level of the trick in consciousness in the play of sequential dreaming. Or I think I told that one where he was showing me that's really how he is teaching me about relishing. Yes. And the way he was showing me is that I would have in the play of the dreaming because that's what I'm going to call it, because to call reincarnation anything other than consciousness playing a game of dreaming, it's just not true. You know, but anyway, but for here, it was helpful because he showed me how in the play and the dreaming, I wanted to be, I was a bank robber and loved it. Just relish jumping on train, to the excitement of the play of jumping on the back of a train. You know, I'm asking if I like being chased down by authorities. Yes, we love that cat and mouse. You know, and the beings here are finding that too. Jesus is showing them, this is how you like cat and mouse games. And we're all laughing here because when you ask him, Jesus, does consciousness like to play the game of cat and mouse and be chased and caught? And even though we're saying, oh my God, it's horrible, it's horrible. If you really start watching movies carefully and you ask them when something happens, like a good one for that is The Zookeeper's Wife, where all of they're like hiding from the Nazis, and you really pay close attention and say, go ahead, Jesus, just show me how this is all relished experience. It's like, man, he's right again. that was just, I loved it, even to the point of, this is being hung by the neck, the whole thing. And you just start seeing how much it's actually relished. And you can ask them, we're deep course students. We can take it. Okay. We can take it direct from the one who knows. Okay, Jesus, do I relish experience? And when I asked him that, I sat down and had a conversation with him. Show me the relishing of dying in a body, like wanting to have that feeling. It was like, no kidding. Really wanted that, really relished that experience of experiencing death in a body. Now you know you're going deep into what he's teaching in the course. I'm asking him now, is there any residual? You go until he says there's none of that energy left hidden under there. You can ask him that on anything. You know, do I have a desire to have an experience with the coronavirus? It's a conversation. So peace is natural, but we believe peace comes from doing something, being what we're not, which was in that case like being a little train robber and having a lot of excitement and pretending like there's stuff you can steal. And but then you have to see it as a play, just like it's just a dream, not making it real. But it was helpful. The Spirit used it for healing, to show, as I've said, the relishing of objective experience, the relishing to feeling like an object and feeling powerful, trying to feel powerful through the ego's game. When it's really the desire, the ego flips it so that you start to look, Jesus, was this weakness? I can ask him now about that whole play being a train robber. In that play of consciousness, was that a desired experience weakness? He says, yes. That's all it can be. Anything other than light is weakness. You can ask him, Jesus, is anything other than infinite light weakness? The tiniest twitch is agreement that weakness is real. So it's really, that's living the course. And we were talking about that a little bit earlier. He's talking about be with me. We can read the book. We can discuss the book. He's saying, and he's telling me, you know, there's just a lot of sidewinding. I mean, it's innocence, but there's just, you have to listen and follow. I mean, there just isn't another way for a true course student. It's uncompromising. What are you telling me, Jesus? And following. And uncompromising, you see what that means, of really, really looking unsparingly at every desire with him. That's our value. He said, that's your value as supreme being, actually. That's honoring your value. Because again, it's not a difficult thing to see that there's light here. We can all see that. Infinite light, just one thought of light. And recognizing that there's not an object here, there's no object. But again, it's like a drive-by. Oh, that was good. Nice parlor trick. See you later. As Mooji says, you don't know what you found. Because Jesus says we do not honor what we are. We don't honor that light as who we are. So he's calling us how to keep it. Be with me. That's what he's saying directly. Be with me. So much love in that. Be with me. Yeah, lay down your sword. Then we're duking it out with him. We like sword fights with Jesus. Jesus, do I like a sword fight with you? It's helpful to see that, where we want to like have a little puppet fight with them. Because then we can admit it, that we're really duking it out with ourselves. You can't duke it out with Jesus. He doesn't duke anything. So what we're really doing is duking it out with ourselves, and then we blame it on blame it on Jesus. You can laugh, you can ask, and then he'll make you laugh because you'll see it's true. Now you must once again lay down your sword, although you do not realize that you have picked it up again. This is the whole play of consciousness. To pretend like we do not know when we've picked up the sword. You can ask Jesus. Jesus, is the whole play here for me to pretend like I don't know that I picked up the sword? Wait till he says yes. Like, I want to have an experience where I pretend I do not have the sword in my hand and I'm falling on it on purpose. I'm desiring experience of falling on my sword. But at least that's honesty of God, because we can admit now we want the sword and we like falling on it. But you see, but if then, here's how the ego's going to play. Okay, I see that I have a sword and I see that I like falling on it, but I'm really pissed about that. See, that's still in consciousness play. That'll play for a while. The only way to go all the way through is to go, I see that I have a sword. I see that I'm using to have a sword, and I'm willing to see that will never get me heaven all the way through, like all the way through chapter 20, all the way through on each desire, to release the desire and then have him show the death wish. Jesus, will you show me how I really want to die? I would rather, like, who was it? Irene, one of you that said it perfectly. I could see that I would rather die than give this up. That's when you're getting somewhere with Jesus. When you see that, because before that scene, it's all conceptual. You'll be in the conceptual world of, the niceness of, this is great. We're going to have a course group, which is helpful. I mean, it's helpful. It's all helpful, but we're talking about the rocket ship. We're talking about the straight up, give it to me direct Jesus version, because I'm a strong infinite being and I'm not willing to play weak anymore. This is the uncompromising. It's like, give it to me, Jesus, and show me how much I would rather die than give up some of those desires in chapter 20. Like, and be okay about it. I mean, it's not judgment. See, this is the great thing about chapter 20 and what he's really offering us. And you'll see it too. So much of the kerfuffling is just chopped off. Just completely, I'm looking at, yeah. I mean, there's some reflections. Is it kerfuffling? But your reflections too, because we've been joining on it. We've been having these joining sessions. And when you go directly with him to desire, you don't have to get caught in the thought cloud of, I have to figure this out, or I'm going to have to know, or I'm sinning, or I'm bad, or I'm evil, or we don't have to go there anymore. Never did, but the consciousness just wasn't ready to look this directly. Obviously, I wasn't ready to look this directly. But as soon as it was recognized, holy smokes, that the light is here, and the only way it's not being seen 100% of the time is because there's a denial there. And then like the floodgates of heaven open up, then you just know, okay, it is just straight looking and straight following. Boom, 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 boom. Like that. Like then you're just like, there's no place else to go. We don't want to go anywhere else. We're seeing that there's no benefit to it, to not following him. Now you must lay down your sword, although you do not recognize that you have picked it up again. We need his help. You can ask him, Jesus, do I really need your help to see where I am picking that sword up? Jesus, we can give him yes. Can we give him full permission to tell me where I'm picking up the sword? Because I don't even know that. That is really where the gates open to talk with him. The admission we do not even recognize, that we are having a twitch. Like he said, you can become tolerant of pain, so tolerant of pain. But we can ask his help. Yes, you need it. Yes. And each passing day, get more grateful for that direct relationship, just to say, okay, Jesus, talking to him all day, going, okay, Jesus, did I pick up my sword on that? Am I just repeatedly falling on my sword? We've watched Edge of Tomorrow. It's such a great movie. I mean, it's so good. And you start to see how these movies, they like so directly parallel. They're like full parallel of the way the spiritual journey looks. And you can see how many times he was falling on a sword in the play and just trying to work the angles until all of a sudden you can see it in his eyes. It's like it's full lockdown, no compromise. It's like, I'm going for it. It's like Lucy. There are a couple of movies that show that, where you just see full purpose in the eye. I'm in full purpose now. I'm not going to compromise. There's Edge of Tomorrow, Lucy, The Go All the Way, and Desmond Doss in Hacksaw Ridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the other no compromise is that Margie Palm video, which I have, which I'm going to share with the guys here. You can find it on YouTube. She's the one that got picked up, got kidnapped. And she followed the Holy Spirit through the whole gig. It's just, I don't know of another place where someone just talks so uncompromising about, and the Spirit told me this, and then the Spirit told me I was going in 7-Eleven or something, and the Spirit said, she could have asked for help, and the Spirit said, stay with them. Now that is trust. That is uncompromising. And it also demonstrates, all those movies, that we do have the power to do it, really, to be uncompromising about following the light. But you'll see it too. You'll start to see the real play in consciousness, but you can't see it till you transcend it, until you got that Jesus in your ear showing you where all the compromises are. And then you see it in consciousness, all the compromise. But you will learn, as you remember even faintly now, what happiness was yours without it, that you must have taken it again as your defense. Stop for a moment now and think of this. Is conflict what you want, or is God's peace the better choice? Okay, let's ask. You see, as long as we believe it's not the better, that's the whole challenge. There's a belief that God's peace is not the better choice. There's a desire for an experience for God's peace to not be the better choice. That's humbling. Jesus, do I have a desire for an experience where I feel that the light is not the better choice? That's the whole gig right there. Do I believe that my choices will bring peace? And if their yes comes, that is where the split is right there. That's the tiny mad idea. The belief that my choice will bring peace. So we have to see that, sit with Jesus and have him show us where we believe our choices, the ability to choose, will bring peace when all it brings is strife. So Jesus, so the belief in choice is falling on our sword. Yes, it's a desire to fall on your sword. Which gives you more? A tranquil mind is not a little gift. That's worth reading again. David would say that all the time. Peace of mind is not a small gift. Tranquil mind is not a little gift. Would you rather live than choose to die? So might as well be honesty of God on this. Jesus, do I relish choosing to have an experience of death? Will you just show it to me so it can ask for a miracle? No, we just ask for a miracle. Just admit it. We love it. We relish it. We like it with ice cream, sprinkles on top, the experience of death. But then it's right here. It's not hidden anywhere. That is the way out too. That's when you accept it in fullness. And because the ego will abort, it'll do an abortion. Abortion is, again, where you see, and you can see that you desire it. You can see there's a play in consciousness, but you're still pissed off about it. That's the abortion. That's still keeping the grievance. Happy because that's a tricky way that consciousness is going to keep that grievance buried. But it won't, if you go all the way with Jesus into the catacombs, it seems like it's going to be horrible, but actually it's a relief, because you'll see you're carrying around, like you're trying to carry 1,000-pound gorilla on our back and say, no, Jesus, it's okay, I'm fine. And we're wondering, God, why I'm exhausted? I can hardly move at the end of the day. No, I'll be good. Look, I'm good. I'm good, Jesus. Really, I got this covered. So it's helpful when like I said, chapter 20 is so powerful. And the joining sessions with our brothers, because as the beings are reporting, it takes you to infinite to see there's no division between your brother. I'm just like happy talking about, like so much love comes, but it's going to be the little backpedaling. It's that little, like there's a little duck. Like I've said, this is how the ego is. You look so smooth. I'm so cool. Oh, I'm cool, boy. And it's just, it looks like you think it's a swan moving on the water. I'm going to look really calm. But if you look underneath there, those little feet are paddling as fast as they can paddle. And then as soon as it gets near Jesus, those little duck feet go in reverse, whoa, not so close, Jesus. So you really takes I'm asking a lot of determination, conviction. He says conviction. Those without conviction are lost. The faithless are lost because they don't have more faith in themselves than the true self, than the idea they have miscreated of who they are. That's powerful. Living is joy, but death can only weep. You see in death escape from what you made. Okay, give it to us straight. Jesus, do I see in death escape from this? Which is honesty of God. We just go, as we said, balls to the wall. I don't know how that translates in Spanish, but huevos to the wall. Full meaning. See, but it's a good phrase. Not that I have. It's a good phrase. It is. I'm going to crack Dyra up because she has to translate it. Thank you, Jesus. He's very fun and playful. Is it all right to use it, Jesus? Yes. Because it's a symbol of full on. You're going to need that full on. Because when you're playing weak, you got to turn the tide and decide that you're not going to settle for wet noodle. To be a wet noodle of consciousness, beat up by consciousness. We're powerful, infinite being. He's calling us, man, on it. He's calling us on it now. It's like before he starts the lessons at the beginning, you know, the book going, try to spend 5 minutes, you know, which is good. We want to, but we're advanced course students. It's like, now he's saying, look with me. You're tiptoeing. Come over here. You're tiptoeing. Come over here. Let's look together. Living is joy. You're living. You're live. Life. We even have to learn what life is from, because the play of consciousness is to think that that bird that just flew across here is life. No, it has nothing to do with life. Ask Jesus. Does that bird flying have zero to do with life? Zero. Now that is really deep, because we think life is about whether a body is moving or still. Like, okay, if it's on a slab, it's gone. That's the play of consciousness. We are life. Life is beyond a body. We're it. We're totality. The light is life. We're all that is. It's not a body. So as these desires are washed out, the perception of other, that there's an other out there, just fades away. It no longer has the fuel under it to make it seem like there's an other. Living is joy, but death can only weak. You see in death escape from what you made. That's helpful to see. Jesus, do I any longer see death as an escape from what I made? Look directly. And also, by the way, it's really helpful to look directly and see that you do not blow up. Because the ego is going to swear to you that if you look directly with Jesus, you are going to be incinerated. So let's just see if it happens, though, before we decide we're going to be incinerated. Because that's the play in consciousness, to move and stay in the dream bubble. Don't look, don't look, don't look. It's like one big don't look. So we stay like this in the dream bubble. And to avoid where we're called out of the dream bubble, to follow Jesus out of the dream bubble. The fuel is desire. The fuel that drives into the dream bubble is desire. The desire for an experience, to avoid looking out and seeing the light is here. The light has come. But this you do not see, that you made death. All right, let's just do honesty of God. I'm in, Jesus. Take me all the way. Okay. But see, this is the thing. The ego is you're going to think, or the I, thinks that looking is going to be terrible. And then it avoids it like the plague. It avoids the joining. I'm not going to join. That's why you have to follow, because you won't see it until you say, look, Jesus is saying for me to do this. I'm doing it. And the number of times that you'll have to do that, yes. Jesus is telling me I don't care about anything other than him saying this. And nothing is getting in my way. That's acceptance of divinity. Otherwise, we're kind of whinging and playing weak. So we're just going to look directly. Jesus, not going to whinge. Because the happiness is when he shows you these things. Jesus, did I make death? And here is the answer. Did I really make it? Did I miscreate the idea that death is real? See in the light of divine being, infinite light. We just take a look. It's for me. Is there a beginning or ending in light? No beginning, no ending, infinite. Is death an illusion? Is death real, Jesus? And the light of divine being and honesty of God, is death real? It's an idea in the mind of the dreamer. We can ask Jesus, Jesus, is death an idea in the mind of the dreamer? Death cannot be escape because it is not life in which the problem lies. And he's using a little life, meaning the problem is not in what we think is life, because that's an illusion. The problem is not, the problem is believing that the illusion's real. The problem is the belief that the illusion's real and the investment in the desire to experience the illusion as real. Life has no, now he says use the capital L, life. Life has no opposite, for it's God. Just ask him, Jesus, is the light life itself? Is the light the same as God? Sameness. It's the only thing that's shared, light. So supreme happiness is shared. Ask Jesus. Jesus, is supreme happiness shared? It is the only thing that is shared, supreme happiness. So to see something that isn't supreme happiness and label it as such, Jesus, that's hell. That's where we cast ourselves into darkness. As the mind purifies and everything becomes seen as happiness. Like it can be, you can, I'm saying, do you have anything you want to say about this? It's like, it seems like someone's crying, but you know it's not, there's not, sadness is not a reality. You don't judge it, you just, you know, you start to see like someone was expressing that. You can't see evil. You don't, it's not understood, it's not natural to us. Like, I don't know what that is. I can't find that as experience anymore. That's as our minds are cleared, that's what his promise is. But you didn't know until you see it, become aware of it through your brother, how much you believed in it before. Till you see the unreality of it and how it ruled the life, like how the ego is going to search. It's that, here's the shark, and it's looking for an experience to prove that death is real, that the light is dead, that evil is true, and that the only piece is to see it's not true at all. There's no such thing. There's consciousness playing and doing, you know, machinations and things, but there's no evil in it. So you can ask him, Jesus, is evil a concept? It's an idea. Life and death seem to be opposites because you have decided death ends life. Forgive the world and you will understand that everything that God created cannot have an end and nothing he did not create is real. So let's just ask Jesus, this is the last unanswered question. Am I willing to see what is true because it's been denied? I'm willing to see the truth. Here it is right here. You will understand that everything that God created cannot have an end and nothing he did not create is real. We just do the light test. The light test tells us everything we need to know. Did God create the world? Ask the light. The light, did God create the world? Can't find it in there. Does the light have a beginning or an end? These stories and fantasies have beginning and endings. It's a desire for an experience of a beginning and ending. But it doesn't make, just because we desire it, doesn't make the light change. It doesn't mean it's true. And nothing he did not create is real. In this one sentence is our course explained, and in this one sentence is our practice in giving its one direction. And in this one sentence is the Holy Spirit's whole curriculum specified exactly as it is. Okay, Jesus, the question is, am I willing to see it? Am I willing to see the truth in those sentences? Life and death seem to be opposite because you have decided death ends life. Okay, Jesus, have I made a decision? Is there still a decision in the subconscious mind that death ends life, to try to end life through death? I'm willing to see it and just ask for a miracle. There's the slightest twitch. Forgive the world, and you will understand that everything that God created cannot have an end, and nothing he did not create is real. In this one sentence is our course explained. What is the peace of God? No more than this, the simple understanding that his will is wholly without opposite. Jesus, am I willing to see God's will is without opposite? If he says no, just celebrate, because then we can see we really do not want the will of God to be our own. Do I want the will of God to be my own? Is there any, can you show me that so I can see through it? See through that illusion that I can have a will apart from yours? So much happiness comes with that. He says that, oh my gosh, he says that is a sword you must lay down. There's no thought that contradicts his will, yet can be true. The contrast between his will and yours would seem to be reality. In truth, there's no conflict, for his will is yours. Now is the mighty will of God himself his gift to you. Jesus, do I carry the mighty will of God himself? It's worth checking in on that. And then see the futility of fighting against that. What are we thinking? We said Jesus is saying, not much. Now is the mighty will of God himself his gift to you. Let's get that one fully, all the way through. Penetrate, Jesus. Why would you seek to keep your tiny, frail imaginings apart from him? That's a good question. Let's ask. Jesus, why would I keep my tiny, frail imaginings? Because we enjoy usurping the power of God. That's what. Just the play of consciousness is usurp the power of God and just relish it. And it's like a ha-ha one-up. And it is so helpful. I've talked about this before, but when you go down that elevator with them and you see that little, I got one on you, God, feeling down there, the little devil horns pop out and you see them down there, how much it's really relished. It's helpful. It's really helpful to see that energy with Jesus. And you just go, oh my gosh, he is so right. He's so totally right. The will of God is one and all that there is. This is your heritage. Jesus, am I willing to see this as my heritage? The universe beyond the sun and the stars and all the thoughts of which you can conceive belong to you. God's peace is the condition for his will. Attain his peace and you remember him. Okay, Jesus, all the way. So this is why we call it the cease-to-denyment. Cease to deny our will is the same as God's will. Cease to deny that we're anything other than God's will for perfect happiness. It's a humbling but happily humbling journey to see that indeed we do desire this experience. But it's the direct admission that is just so powerful for releasing the release from fear. Because then you can go below fear and show me the desire and release at the level of desire. You don't even have to spend any time in fear. And if you're in fear, then it's a desire for it. So you can go to desire. See, there's just, that's it. Show me the desire, Jesus. Jesus. And you ask him, is this the way out? God's peace is the condition. Jesus, let's ask God. God, we can talk to God. God, did you give me the option not to be the same as your will? Let him answer that. No. Do I have the power not to be light, no matter how hard I want to try and paddle backwards? Jesus, ask him. No. Do I have the power not to be the same as God's will? No. Do I relish dreaming like I'm not God? That I don't have the power of God's will being the same? You can hear the yes. Will you help me out here, Jesus? I need your help. That's what I'm here for. God's peace is the condition for his will. Attain his peace and you'll remember him. It's to honor ourselves, the self, the one. So we thank you, Jesus, for this. We thank you for these mighties that are so devoted to looking. And we thank you for the humor, because you need humor. The Son of God remembered not to laugh. It takes memory not to laugh on this. But that's what's so beautiful. In the chapter 20, you find yourself getting with your mighty and you're both looking and you both agree, holy smokes, we both believe that. And then you're going to laugh your head off. You can hear in the joining sessions at the end, everybody's laughing. By the end, at first, you know, you don't want to look and, oh, it's going to be bad. And by the end, you're laughing and you see the impossibility of it all. So he's given a really simple, lighthearted means and a fast means to look with him. So let's all just jump in. Let's hold hands, go off the dock together right into the boat to heaven. All in. Straight up. We love you. Thank you for coming and joining. Oh, yes. And I think probably everyone on the Spanish side has seen the beautiful page that Melissa and Dyer are putting together of all the resources. We're so blessed to have these mighties come who are in devotion to God to extend this for all of us. So thank you.